very long time. Uh, I'm really hoping that some people can come and we can have a great discussion about the ketogenic diet versus the carnivore diet. As soon as this notification goes away off my screen, let's see what it says. Repair swiping edge of the screen. So I have a new phone. And there it goes. Okay, I'm like, all right. It was like a notification. I have a brand new phone. I'm using it for the first time, so it was giving me this notification, but I digress. Let's get into it. Today, we're going to talk about the difference between keto versus carnivore, sort of like risk, benefit, the breakdown of both, so you guys can decide which diet might work best for you and for how long and why. And as those people are coming into the chat, let me know that you are here. Say hello. Okay, let's get it here. I've been doing a ketogenic diet for years and years and years and years. This obviously started, hey Shelby, this obviously started when my mom developed a glioblastoma. That woman has 9 lives. I don't know how she's still alive. She's not on any kind of ketogenic diet right now. She just turned 80 years old. And I see you guys all coming in. So note, I see you guys. The diet was, at that time, this is 16 years ago, I didn't know much about a ketogenic diet. I just knew it was high fat. I ate all kind of fats. I had issues with all kinds of fats. I didn't know what to expect. There was barely any information when I first started this whole journey. And I literally mean barely any information. So I was pretty much the N equal, thank you, Shelby. I was pretty much the N equals 1 experiment as to what's going to happen. Now around that time, Steve Finney and Jeff Volek were studying ketogenesis with athletes in a lab for 3 months. And they figured out that you could use ketones in your brain, can get past the blood-brain barrier, and that your brain does not only rely on glucose, but it can also rely on ketones. Now, with that said, people might have done carnivore-ish diets, like with, what's his name? Vander something. I forgot his last name. And Vince, what is his name? Vince Jerome. I can't remember their names right now. One's a bodybuilder guy who is preaching steak and eggs instead of doing like just your basic rice and chicken and carbs during the Arnold Schwarzenegger world of bodybuilding. But today, people are actively now doing a carnivore diet. I've done it for 9 months. I've worked with, I think almost everyone I've ever worked with now has transitioned from a keto diet to a carnivore diet. Now, some people have gone straight to from like a vegan diet. This is what's really weird. I've had some people go directly from a vegan diet straight to a carnivore diet. And it's very interesting to see how their bodies respond to that. When I was watching the vegan community probably like 7 years ago, it was very interesting to see some of them quit and start introducing meat back into their diet. Now we're understanding more and more, and I'm able to actually understand anti-nutrients in plants. Like you have salicylates and oxalates and goitrogens and nightshades and lectins, saponins, tannins, gluten, and how they affect everything. Your thyroid, your gut, your allergies that you have, the building up of oxalate crystals. They can be in your eyes, they can be in your breast tissue, they can build up in your muscles, they can build up in your joints, they can be in your vulva, in your vaginus. A lot of women think they have a UTI. In fact, I run this course page. And there actually was, hey Plum, there actually was a woman who was saying, I think I have chronic UTIs. Well, now, based on all of her symptoms, which was like burning, but she didn't have the urgency to urinate, things that you typically have when you have a UTI. She had UTI symptoms without having a UTI. And now I realize it was because of oxalates and coming from the world of veganism. People, I still need to do a video about like the whole smoothie world, because now I'm so far into a keto diet. In fact, when I put nutritional programs together, I tried to make shakes. They were like avocado shakes and things of this nature, or like coconut cream shakes, because, you know, we're coming from the world of shakes and smoothies. Now, you think you had oxalate in your kidneys and eyes. Interesting, Ian. Okay. Now, the keto diet, and I'm going to do like the, what is it, like the trending keto diet online, the trending carnivore diet, the real ketogenic diet, and the real carnivore diet. What do those types of diets look like? Okay. The ketogenic diet originally was supposed to be 80-15-5, 80% fat, 15% protein, 5% carbohydrates, coming from cruciferous vegetables. Now, people started doing the 80-15-5, but they would do like 1,000 calories. So I said, stop trying to do 80-15-5, and only do 80-15-5 when you start at 200 grams of fat. Now, ironically, Steve Phinney and Jeff Volek, these scientists, these doctors, also recommended 200. I started having clients do 200 grams of fat, and it was amazing, the outcomes once you get your fats that high. And I'm telling you, people, to this day, the higher the fats, the higher the ketones. Now, and then regulating your glucose, and then the energy and all of this. The ketogenic diet classically should be with your carbohydrates. Was anything but interesting, Stephanie? No. The carbohydrates in the very beginning, people were still doing, you can't even like comprehend this thing, 80 grams of carbohydrates. You've got total carbohydrates. I see a light. Is there a light here? Am I tripping? Okay. The total carbs are much different than the net carbs, which is very different also if there's sugar in your carbohydrates. People would factor in things like ketchup and say, well, there's only like 3 or 4 grams of sugar, so I'm under the 5 grams of sugar allotment for the day. No. You literally got to be at like 1 gram of sugar with fiber involved, because even the tiniest dink of sugar that hits the bloodstream, and people's glucose starts to dysregulate, and the ketones begin to drop. Now, not in everyone, but in most people. How I know this isn't because I read some arbitrary study where I studied twins for 30 days and you're not even in ketosis for 30 days. I know this because I've worked with 8,000 people. And the majority of people that I've worked with over the years have used a glucometer. So this has been the most amazing data collecting I think that anyone could ever have on keto. Like literally, because you have to be doing this thing for at least 2 years to get any type of sufficient data to then make a decision. And I think that's going to be the same thing with carnivore as well. But classically, you're going to be 80% fat, which if you started off at 200 grams of fat, then your protein, depending on if you're a man or a woman, right? So a man's going to have between 200 and 230, 200 and 300 grams of fat. On the rare occasion, 400 grams of fat. When I first did keto, I did 400 grams of fat because I was experiencing hypoglycemia. Now, because I didn't know what I was doing in the beginning, nice to see you, Elena. My mom, I'll talk about my mom a little bit down the road in this live stream. Essentially, the carbohydrates like cruciferous family of the broccoli and your cabbage. At that time, I was doing a ton of spinach and this is really weird how this plate is that coming from? That's weird. Crap. Of course, I dropped my phone. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm so unprofessional. I can't make this stuff up. Okay. In the beginning, I was doing a lot of spinach, and I mean a lot. I was doing spinach, I was doing stevia, and I remember researching stevia, trying to find out what was wrong with it, and then like, of course, the sugar industry is like, oh, it's gonna cause cancer, and just a bunch of garbled nonsense, because I had heard and I had read in certain areas that stevia would never cause you cancer, and it's from, I forgot the name of the plant, or bina or something like that. I can't remember the name of the plant, but the point, let me see if I can remember it. The name of that plant is called. I can't stand when I can't remember something. It's made from the Rebaudiana plant. Yes, this is a herbaceous plant native to South America. And coming from countries like Paraguay and Brazil. So I knew that they were, early on, you guys, I knew that if stevia is okay, it's gonna like completely destroy the sugar industry, because, you know, I didn't mind the bitter taste, but I know a lot of other people that hated it. So I went bananas berserko on the stevia. Now, today I realize stevia is horrible because of the oxalates that you get from it, the kidney stones. All right. Also at that time, I was pushing coconut oil, MCT oil, and this is only because other people were pushing it. Okay? This is how it works. You hear that this, gurus will, hype a certain product or way of eating way too prematurely, and, you think you know the science because these doctors are saying, yeah, I know stevia has oxalates. Because the scientists are saying that coconut oil is a medium chain triglyceride, which is very small in particle size. You don't need a gallbladder to digest it, and it makes ketones. People started putting MCT oil into coffee. And then came the coffee revolution of butter, but mainly MCT oil in coffee. And then I remember some bodybuilder people were saying that, like, coconut oil is bad for you, and just it's a pure saturated fat, and it's dangerous. So it's really interesting to see now, as all of these years have gone by, what actually is not good about these traditional classic ketogenic diets, old diets, new diets, and what's good and what's bad. I realized also very early on that MCT oil is processed. People were like cooking with it. I'm like, you cannot cook with that stuff. It's processed. If you're going to cook with anything, cook with coconut oil. And then I learned very quickly that coconut oil does not really have a high smoke point. So it oxidizes when you cook with it. But what does not oxidize as much is animal fat. So that's another thing that we have learned over time. Not the avocado oil, it's got a higher smoke point than the coconut oil, but it's the animal fat That's the fat that you can cook with the best for the lesser of oxidative stress. I'm watching deer run across my property. So amazing. Used to be homeless people, now it's deer. Okay. Um, so at that time, people were pushing nuts and seeds. And so nuts, seeds, cheese, coffee, MCT oil. That was considered a ketogenic diet in the very beginning. Then as time evolved, people started taking this product called beta hydroxybutyrate salts. And some companies still try to push this nonsense, but there was probably 20 companies at the end of the day, and they must have all gone bust because that stuff is expensive garbage. But the idea of keto in the beginning was you eat fat, and then you try to drive ketosis by eating fat and getting your liver to convert the dietary fat into ketones, also in the body fat. So in my old videos, I used to say, you have a restaurant on your belly, right there. That is true. That is true. And then people had this idea that you would do a ketogenic diet and be slightly underweight, right? They wanted the benefits, the mental cognition, the candida to go away. So they would do a keto diet, and then they'd be afraid that they would just start burning fat. And I'd get a ton of emails like this and comments on my channel about, well, if I'm already underweight and you just get into ketosis and the weight just peels off your body. And a lot of people did do a ketogenic diet and then they would lose a ton of weight. But nobody really understood the mechanism as to why. So just remember early on, and I also remember coaching people with perfect ketogenic glucose and ketone numbers and not understanding that the glucometer is a rough tool on assessing if you're in ketosis or not, and it's not so black and white that you're in ketosis just because the numbers say so. I also learned early on that the urine strips were useless. People be like, I'm in ketosis. It's purple. Woo! It's the purple. I'm in ketosis. And I'm like, but they would have high blood sugar. Early on, I said, stop using urine strips. And then eventually we realized that you're losing ketones. That I would work with people that their blood glucometer would be in perfect ranges, but their urine strip would be clear. They're in ketosis because you don't want ketones in your urine. You want your cells to uptake them. You don't want to like drop them out into your pee-pee. Okay? But that early time, thank you, Plum. That early time of keto, and this is going on when I was online, this was going on like 13 years ago, that before there was Dr. Chafee and Ken Berry and, all of them. At that time, there was Dr. Berg. He didn't touch keto then. He was like I remember he was the adrenal guy. He called it like the adrenal body. And he did really good work back in the day with this whole adrenal videos. Like most of his videos were about the adrenal glands and a little bit of the thyroid. There was also Jimmy Moore, who's now in jail. He used to have a channel called Living La Vida Loca. And there was Maria Emmerich, who's gone carnivore and who is deathly underweight. And I hope she gets the help that she needs. But she should not be preaching any type of nutritional advice at this juncture. I'm sorry. I'm probably the only one who's going to keep it real online. And I'm sure that she's a wonderful person, but, it's very dangerous to speak in front of the camera and behind the real scenes, issues are going on, right? So you got to be really careful with the advice that you give because people will follow what you say and do to the letter, and that's not good. I remember watching, and then there was Nora Gagaudis. Now, Nora Gagaudis, to this day, is a brilliant woman. She was considered in the paleo sphere. So, paleo and the keto world, there was a thing called the paleo effects, and then they would invite a few keto people. Now, eventually, I got invited to that summit and started the keto summit. And here I was trending online, and you would type in the keto diet, and my videos always came number one. But that was before you had to be, before the advertising on YouTube. It was before the algorithms that if you weren't monetizing and all this kind of stuff, that they would not promote your videos. So if I was speaking on a subject, it literally was like number one all the time. And I could go to freaking all over the world and people would recognize me as this keto girl. But see, my ass is old, so I didn't keep up with all of that promoting and pushing and fluckery of, sometimes getting too caught up in, I've got to do 2 videos a day and 1 short and 4 stories and hashtag this and look at the trending, whatever, clickbait thumbnails and all this garbage that you have to do and nobody will find you. And I think I'm going to do a video all about the truth on what it's like to be online and why people become such thirst horror fame people. It's so sad because what you have to do, thank you, John, what you have to do to get the message out, to doing these videos, like it's a joke. I was just doing live streams all the time because I'm busy. I just want to get my content out. No, you can't do that. You have to do video uploads. You've got to do edits. You've got to do thumbnails. You've got to link videos. If you don't do these things, you're shadow banned. You have to link. I have to link after this. I have to put links. Go look at my next video. All of this stuff. But let's get back to the keto thing so the audience doesn't freak out that I'm digressing. The point is that I want to talk about how it was so many years ago online pushing a ketogenic diet. People at the time were pushing a lot of paleo, and the paleo is gone now because it didn't work. People ended up just, if you had a sugar addiction, you would continue it on by doing like raisins and dates and dried fruit, and people would just continue with their diabetes, insulin resistance, candida overgrowth. When keto came around, what's up, Lee Gardner? When keto came around, that's when it was a game changer to, sorry, stop reading the chat. Keto became a game changer to people's health. Paleo, like, it didn't work. And that's why you would see like paleo bacon and paleo primal, and they called it primal everything. Primal mayo, primal this, Mark Sisson and all these paleo people. Well, there was barely any keto people, like barely. And I was one of the first who was really going hard on pushing ketogenic diets. Thank you, Tunga. But the benefits were the fact that once you got into ketosis, because paleo was still glucose dependent, keto was a game changer because you could put your body into a state of ketosis. And now things like epilepsy, headaches, depression, inflammatory disorders, sleepless nights, menstrual issues, low testosterone, fibromyalgia, all these things started going away and people started having energy. But the main trending concept was dropping body fat. There was a guy named Gary Taubes, and he wrote a book called Calories In, Calories Out, sort of proving that calories don't matter. Because people have this misnomer, this misconception that if I eat too many calories and don't exercise, then I'm going to gain weight. But that's not necessarily true, because what if you're hyperthyroid? What if you've got a lot of muscles and you're able to clear out glucose instead of store it as fat? So things become a little bit more specific and nuanced and all of this. When I started working with people, what I noticed was, at first, I didn't notice gallbladder issues because I'd never had a gallbladder issue. How am I going to preach about gallbladder anything if I didn't have it myself? But 2 swipes later, like, people were like, I can't eat the fat, I feel sick, I have diarrhea, I feel bloated, I have an aversion to fat, I can't eat it. In the beginning, I would put a lot of people on coconut oil and it'd be fine. They'd have like diarrhea because some people can't digest the caprylic acid in coconut oil, but they wouldn't have the gallbladder nausea, right? This issue, the pale stool and whatnot. I do need to drink some water, and I need to put my Celtic salt inside of it. I just got done filming a video about like just Celtic salt because I've been doing an experiment on it. So I stopped using Redmond's and I started doing Celtic salt because I just wanted to see if my body would absorb the minerals better. So it's very interesting. And I'll talk about that. I'm talking about that in another video. Okay. So that's a classic ketogenic diet. You're eating 200 to 300 grams of fat. You're having 15 net carbs. Or 20 max net carbs. Your protein is dependent on your size and your insulin sensitivity. And early on, when people are using glucometers, I had worked with a guy who was 6'4". If his, and this is still true to this day, if he ate over 75 grams of protein, his blood sugar would spike. So I started putting every guy on pretty low protein. Like, I put every guy around 70 to 75 grams of protein. I bumped that up to about 90. But still, you'd be surprised, men out there, anybody who's a man watching this video, use a glucometer and eat over 90 grams of protein and watch your blood sugar go. It's friggin' super interesting. Ketones drop, blood sugar spikes on a lot of protein. And that's where you wonder, do you really need all of that protein? One sec. So it was very interesting that that guy had 3 consultations with him. He was 6'4", and he got into ketosis when he had dropped down his protein down to 75, and he lifted, but his fats were 400. People in the very beginning were like, I'm flat, my muscles are flat. Why are my muscles flat? And at that time, people didn't really understand electrolytes, so I didn't understand them. Girl, I'm like a pro at electrolytes now. Like, it's a game changer. So that was the original ketogenic diet. What I've learned from that juncture is that your protein can be higher. What I've learned from that moment is that you can't have 5 grams of sugar. You can't. Even if they say it's in your allotment. You can have like 1 or 2 for the entire day. Okay, and that's coming from a food like if you had a little bit of yellow squash, for example, like small amounts, and you have to have muscles because you've got to have good GLUT4 receptor development to uptake that glucose. Yes, Ian, they've been pushing, Ian says there's a lot of gurus still pushing large amounts of protein. They're still doing it. You know, there's still like, people are still just not doing the groundwork and working with enough people with glucometers to learn that you cannot, and really listening to the symptoms of too much protein like constipation or kidney pain. But they're too caught up in each other. They drink each other's nonsense. They're like, one person's like, oh my God, yeah, it's like if you're not pooping, it's because you're using all the protein. And then another person sees that video and they're like, oh, they have a doctor in front of their name, so I'm going to start saying that too. So now I realize that it does matter the amount of protein to the freaking gram. It also matters your body type, right? What does your blood sugar look like on protein? What do your ketones look like? How is your sleep? Now, all of these things, a 24-hour day matters on getting in ketosis. rather than just the diet itself. This is what I've learned over the years. That classic ketogenic diet where you could just eat any fat is not true. It must be animal fat, period. And that's where Carnivore has made that understanding as well. I've also learned that most people have a gallbladder issue. Most people. Man, woman, doesn't matter. And I think as time goes on, the problems with the gallbladder are just out of control with people today. I think we're so toxic. I think our biliary duct system is not flowing properly. I think people are having toxic livers. I think that the stress and the heavy metals in the air and the poisonous and the nonsense and the foolery and the fluckery that's going on in this world today is really making it difficult for your organs to do what they need to do if they're battling with cortisol, right? So if your body's going down the cortisol pathway and you want these organs to function properly while doing this diet, if you're not adapting, you're creating more cortisol. If you're not getting into ketosis, right? If your body's not learning how to use fat as its primary source of fuel, then you're going down the cortisol pathway, and then that's going to make your biliary duct system not function properly when it comes to your liver, your kidney, your gallbladder, and your pancreas, period. Yeah, there's so many moving parts. For me, talking about the human body, it's not that complicated. But for those who are just entering the idea of how the body works, everything seems so freaking confusing when they're dealing with their symptomology, right? Their symptoms. There's too many moving parts that people want very quick fixes, and life just doesn't work that way. There are no quick fixes on, let's say, weight loss. What I've learned is that a lot of people do keto, and just like carnivore or just like fasting, they'll see a drop in their insulin numbers. Like legit, they'll go and get an insulin test, or they'll check their A1C within the first 6 months and their markers look good. But the problem is over time they rebound and they start inverting and going up again. So insulin goes up, blood sugar starts creeping, and boy, do I see this, because most people have had an A1C, hemoglobin A1C, to take a snapshot of their hemoglobin cells or their blood sugar over 2 to 3 months, and you'll see it's running high. And the very thing that's interesting is that your blood sugar might be in a ketogenic range, which is between a 75 and an 83, and it doesn't matter, you're still showing an A1C of over a 5.0. Which means you ain't in ketosis. And like, I've done this for so long that the times that I've popped out of ketosis, it's black and white. I don't even know what my body would do if I ate carbs. I'm gonna read this comment about moving parts, mold, metals. Okay, I'll just read it real quick. Yep, so many moving parts, mold, metals, liver, metabolism. What you say are the top 5 things that to track and check your progress on this journey. Okay, so if you're trying to get in, I guess you're asking if you're getting into ketosis or not. But the things that you have to factor in before you do keto or carnivore or any diet is your blood sugar. That's like number 1. What does your fasted blood sugar look like? What does your blood sugar look like after 2 hours? What does your blood sugar... Oh yeah, Jimmy's in jail for doodling a child. Yeah. But it's so funny because I talked to him literally right before all of this went down with him. But knowing your blood sugar 2 hours after a meal, 10 minutes before, like if you're checking for histamine, you would check it 10 minutes before you eat something and up to 2 hours after that food and make a comparison. Also, you check after a workout because, again, there's that whole cortisol pathway. But the things I would check is my blood sugar and ketones. I would also check my sleep quality, because if you don't sleep, that's when you make the ketones. And the electrolytes. So those are the top. I'm not going to go into 5 because I still want to get to the carnivore. Okay, so these are the things that I've learned over time. And then the electrolytes, it's like, oh my God, wow. Wow, what a lesson. I mean, my biggest focus in the very beginning of coaching a ketogenic diet was to get people into ketosis and look at the blood sugar. But one thing I did not factor in on is the electrolytes, like magnesium, potassium, sodium. For example, we've got the Celtic salt here, right? But how much, right? So I did a video about it. How much salt? Is there a difference between this and the rock salt? Yes. There's going to be way more sodium chloride in the rock salt, the pink stuff, than this stuff. So you can have more of this per day. It's less salty tasting than the rock salt, for example. So when I could take a pinch of this and put it in my glass of water, and I can do that throughout the day, which has been really, that's a whole nother video. It's been very successful to do that over the pink salt, because if you're using Himalayan salt or Celtic salt and you're putting it in a glass of water, it is so easy to go over salt, and then you start swelling. This stuff you don't, because it's clumpy. It's there's a lot of water in this salt, a lot. It's very, very clumpy. I need to drink. I just came in from mowing my lawn, so I'm so dehydrated. It's like I'm talking about it, and then I'm thinking about it, and then I'm talking. Like, I can't drink the whole time, so I should make this not too much longer. I don't know what GKI is, so Betsy, you might want to explain that to me. So, Anik, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but this person says, yes, my functional medicine doctor said this exact thing about salt versus other salt. Yes. Yeah, so this is the gray coarse salt. It's from France. They like filter it in these little pools off the coast, and they really try to get all of the sea toxins out of it. So it's quite interesting. Glucose keto? What did you call it? How do you feel about glucose keto? Sorry, Betsy, that must be a new phrasing. I've never heard of, what is glucose keto? Can you explain that to me? I don't know what that is. Sorry. The electrolytes is a massive, massive, massive problem. People, you must take magnesium. You have to re-ask your question, Betsy, again, now that I'm starting to see what you meant. Sodium, potassium, magnesium, you can't have too much salt. If you have too much salt, it'll just push down your internal potassium. That'll go, the pump that goes inside, in and out of the cell, and then you feel it. You literally feel it. Like, you feel like muscle burning when you go to the gym, like you get lactic acid burn. You feel nauseous. You feel palpy. You feel breathy. It's very bizarre when you have just like that much too much salt. The histamine thing. Now, let's go into carnivore. So keto is supposed to take care of the histamine, but it's not. Because of the cruciferous vegetables. Yes. Because if you eat a bowl of spinach, you might come along with, which could be like 4 cups in a big ass bowl, you might come along with like 4 to 5 grams of carbs. Bread has 33 grams of carbohydrates in a slice of bread. So could you imagine a big, massive salad bowl and you're only getting 5 carbs? Like, that's nothing. And I used to go and promote that, but spinach is very high histamine. A lot of plants are high histamine. Plants have toxins. Like I said in the beginning of this live stream, salicylates, oxalates, goitrogens, nightshades, lectins, saponins, tannins, and gluten is obviously in the wheat. So If I take, let's say, oxalates, for example, and plants have oxalic acid, and it binds to calcium in your blood and it starts forming these stones. You can actually see these crystals in the plant itself. But, hold on a second. So it's like in spinach and rhubarb and stevia and sweet potato. Not a lot in sweet potato. Somebody's like, oh my God, there's a lot of oxalates in avocado. I don't know who said that. That is not true. It is very low in avocado. See, fun fact that RDA of sugar doesn't exist for the recommended daily maximum dose is 30 grams of sugar. I know, that's insane. And I'm like having people do 1 gram of sugar. So Betsy is talking about it, this formula. I don't know who made this formula. I don't know. I'm not going by that. I'm not going by that. I'm gonna go by what I know as fact. I'm gonna write this down. Hold on. This GKI index. One sec. Somebody just made that up. Let's see what it says. I'm curious. Okay, a lower GKI value suggests higher levels of ketosis, indicating that the body is primarily using ketones for fuel instead of glucose. This is often the goal for those following a ketogenic diet. Okay, so far so good. It signifies that they are effectively producing and utilizing ketones and energy. Okay. However, it is important to note that the interpretation of the GKI values can vary depending on the individual goals and circumstances. GKI values to achieve deeper ketosis, while others, but I don't see where the index is. What's the index? Glucose levels, ketone levels. To calculate, divide your, no, this is wrong. Divide your glucose measurement in milligrams per deciliter by your blood ketone measurements in millimoles. Okay? Betsy, whoever came up with this is absolute garbage. Nonsense. Nonsense. And I'll tell you why. A lot of people produce ketones, but their body doesn't use it. Body doesn't use the ketones. And so this is, somebody made this up. Humans make up stuff. And then other people promote it, and then it becomes fact. No, it's not fact. It really matters what your blood sugar is. And what is the blood sugar values divided by ketones? So does that mean no? You have to factor in if you're using the ketones. And you have to factor in if you have GLUT4 receptor and glucose, receptors from your muscle that will uptake glucose. Because when I eat too much protein and my blood sugar is too high, my body will uptake that glucose and use it and not store it as fat and still stabilize my ketones. So I'm going to continue on with this. You've seen natural health people promoting virtues of what? Phenols and polyphenols. Okay, now I'll get into that later. It's been around for a minute. I don't know what, Betsy, that's not scientific. Been around for a minute is not, and I'm not trying to sound rude, but saying that something's been around for a minute doesn't do anything for me. And like, it doesn't tell me who made it. You know, it's like, who created this chart? Let's see. Okay, Thomas Seyfried. So it's just some man came up with this equation. It's just like the protein equation. And I used to say in old videos, you can't You can't only quantify the body by numbers and mathematical equations. You have to factor in how your body uses hormones. ...2012. And I've been doing this since 2000... No, since... I've been doing this since... Was it 2000... No, 2008. 2008. So he came in a few years later and came up with this. Okay. Okay, hold on one sec. Oh, these... I gotta go yell at my pony. Juno! No! Sorry. My donkey is after my pony and he's like cutting it. Donkeys have sharp teeth. Sorry, I'm like being the... Juno! The whole scene behind me, y'all are my animals. Okay. His example was, one of the examples is 90 milligrams per deciliter with glucose at 1.5. You can never be in ketosis with glucose at 90. Okay, I'm going to get more back into this. It's like the way well, people make up stuff. No, you're it's all good, Betsy. No, the ratios that I just went and looked up right now is no. And I sound so friggin' cocky, but I've just been doing this for so long. But let's get into carnivore. When the carnivore diet came around, I gotta show you the deer. Oh no, there it goes. Oh man, it's so cool to have these deer running around. Okay, when carnivore came around, I saw Sean Baker on Joe Rogan, just like everybody else did, and then I decided to try it. But what I knew all along is that carnivore needs to be high fat, and I was saying in my old videos, just like it's just the same as keto, but without the plants, and I still look at it that way. But I've learned, so the classic carnivore is eat a ton of meat, eat until you're full, and then, you want fatty cuts of meat, and that's all they ever said. And then with that, they didn't talk about ketosis. I'm the one that has been talking about ketosis from the jump. So there was nobody that I know that was saying, hey, you got to make sure that your fats reach a ketogenic level. But because I've done keto for so long, of course, that's where my brain goes. When you cut out your carbohydrates, you must get into ketosis, because I've said before that you cannot use protein as a viable source of energy. You'll gas out. Your adrenals will become affected, and then you start going down the cortisol pathway. And that's exactly what I've seen. Client after client after client who eats too much protein. So they eat protein in the beginning, same as keto, eat protein, insulin drops, glucose drops, lose weight, lose water, lose some muscle, lose some fat. Inflammation goes down, histamine goes down, and boom, it becomes a trend. And then everybody wants to do carnivore. And it's not logical, right? Because your diversity of foods is a human who's omnivorous. It just goes away. And then you have these gurus like I don't even know if people talk about him anymore. Sverige, or I was going to say Eller, speaking Swedish, or Sverige. He had a channel. his name is it's Sweden in Swedish, which is Sverige, but people didn't know that it's pronounced Sverige, so they would call him Sverige or Sverige. And he was one of the camps where you just eat raw meat, you eat fermented meat, you eat a ton of meat, and he was early on as a guru. Give him that. Like, then there was a few other people, and then there was obviously Sean Baker, and then came, and this is before Paul Saladino. Then Frank Tufano came around, Paul Saladino came around, and then more keto gurus started coming after that. And then there was keto people who went to carnivore, like Ken Berry, or like Maria Emmerich, or I think that Dr. Berg never went the carnivore route. So a lot, Thomas DeLauer, right? Keto, keto, keto. And it's like, it's really weird how people like follow the trend and then they're like promoting carnivore. Now, I tried carnivore as an experiment, not to do it for the long term. I just wanted to see what this thing was because it sounded so nuts when it first came out as a trend. Now I've learned that when you eat too much protein, now people are doing it like to get their inflammation down. Same with Bar-K. What about Bar-K? Bar-K came way later. Bar-K came way later. Frank Tufano was way before Bar-K. And Bar-K used to talk about carnivore, but he'd always say, I'm not carnivore, I'm just, I'm just curious about it. But the idea of carnivore sounds really awesome, right? And when you do it, you don't eat any plants. So it's like, no brainer. Throw some bacon on, throw some eggs, you're out the door. Freaking cooking vegetables is a pain in the ass. Like, if you don't have to eat it, that was what, like, for those who are like keto, who never done carnivore, and they're like, why would I want to stop eating vegetables? Because it just makes your life easy. It's just easy. And then you know that you're not eating a bunch of anti-nutrients. And at that time I had developed kidney crystals. So for me, from stevia, from licorice, from those main, and spinach. So for me, the idea of getting rid of the plants that had all the anti-nutrients out them, and if you go back to my video catalog, you'd hear me say years ago, salicylates, oxalates, goitrogens, nitrates, lectins, saponin, and I was still doing keto. So when carnivore came after I used to talk about those plant toxins, I was like, yo, this makes sense, right? Let's make it a high-fat, ketogenic version. No, Bar-K's younger. Sean Baker's the same age as me. He's not older than me. Sorry. Sean Baker's the same age. Okay, like literally we're the same age. Born in 1967. So the carnivore, I tried it, and then my health took a dive. And the reason why I took it a dive, and the reason I haven't like, oh my God, it's so amazing, is because I'd already gone through it so amazing doing keto. So I wasn't going to have these like incredible increase of benefits going from a ketogenic diet to carnivore diet, because I'd already cut out all the processed food. I mean, everything that's processed, sugars, anything, like everything was cleaned up in my diet on a keto diet. So I didn't see this like amazing increase. As long as my fats were high, it felt almost the same. Problems started. I never had like diarrhea from carnivore because I don't have a gallbladder problem. I never did. So when people are like, oh, I had loose stool in the beginning and their body has to adjust to all the fatty meats, that never happened with me. So after doing it, my electrolytes tanked. I developed hyperpigmentation on my skin so bad. For those who've been following me all along, my skin was friggin' awful. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of how bad it was. And it has not returned. It's like, so I know for certain it was a magnesium deficiency. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of my skin at that time and go to my Instagram. For those, follow my Instagram. It's Stephanie Ketogenic. There I am. So go to Stephanie Ketogenic. That's another thing I hate promoting on. So like, I am like, my numbers never change on Instagram. Let's see here. Let's find a picture of my skin when I was so hyperpigmented. It was really, really, really bad. Let's see here. Oh, goodness. I'm trying to find a picture that actually shows me with bad hyperpigmentation of the skin. And I was trying to use makeup to cover it. It was so bad, you could see it through the makeup. Obviously, I'm not going to post on my Instagram pictures of myself, like, with my skin looking the worst. There you can see in this video. Wow, let's see if it'll focus. Okay, I'm just making a mess here. Let me try this again. But you can see it in this video. Okay, you can see it here. Okay, there you can see. See my skin? See those dark spots on the cheeks? Okay? This is what's left over. But I have no makeup on. Like, there's none. So, this is with me with a ton of makeup on. And you can still see the dark spots on my cheek. Your fat's still consistent with butter and avocados and rotate meats and vegetables. Yes. So the thing about doing carnivore is that my electrolytes changed and tanked so bad that when I actually stopped, added back my avocado, this was one of the first things to start to fix my skin on carnivore. Adding back the avocado, and then I became bloated. I couldn't eat any vegetables. I mean, my gut was like freaked out. I started adding cruciferous vegetables back, avocados back, and then my gut calmed down. Carnivore is great if you are trying to get rid of inflammation. Never ever, today's carnivore is like tons of meat. Now they're saying more fat, like they've switched it to fat, but nobody knows how much. Just follow the ketogenic guidelines of 200 grams of fat or higher. Moderate to low protein. Try to be an omnivore. Don't just do strict carnivore because you're gonna risk your electrolyte issues. Carnivore is great when you're coming from like really bad eczema, plaque psoriasis, super bad histamine, allergies up the wazoo. It's great. You could do it for up to 3 weeks and get all those inflammatory markers down. Plum, I had to, she's talking about my skin. My skin, it took me of experimenting and trying to figure things out. It took a couple of years obviously I'm in this, I still wear hats, right? And I did use an infrared box that really brought it out, which I got rid of that Juve box. I mean, the infrared is amazing, but I was too paranoid that it would make my skin, it was just awful what it did to my face. But the classic carnivore is changed now. I think you can ride the line of carnivore. I've learned that fiber helps bacteria stay balanced in your gut, because if you have too much of the bad bacteria overgrow, your diamine oxidase drops and your histamine gets worse, and you start doing more and more extreme carnivore to chase that first 6 months of feeling better. And that's what happens with veganism. People start to become fruitarians and raw because now they're rebounding from doing a vegan diet for too long, and they're just searching so hard to feel better. And that's what's happening on carnivore. And then people start fasting on top of it. So the difference between the two is that carnivore is good for the short term. Keto is good for the short and long. But I would say that keto, that carnivore is extremely good for the short term because you're cutting out all the cruciferous vegetables. And on and so all of the anti-nutrients in those plants give your freaking gut, if you have leaky gut or mast cell activation or SIBO, it literally, and because if you are super low in diamine oxidase, your histamine's exploding, you eat plants or loaded in anti-nutrients, carnivore is freaking amazing to take the inflammatory markers down, to cool the body off. But if you do it too long, because you're chasing that first high, you start rebounding with kidney pain and gallbladder issues and a uric acid buildup. And you're not in ketosis, so your thyroid starts getting fracked up and your hair starts falling out, your testosterone drops when you do that high protein carnivore too long. And the gurus that say that they're doing this, they're not telling you the whole story. I can go and I'm not, I could technically debate anyone and just like in seconds and whatever, they're pushing and saying that high protein is fine without doing high fat. All it takes is a couple, because I know. So all it would take is a couple questions to just smash that narrative in 2 freaking seconds. A keto is good that once you get your gut accepting the cruciferous vegetables by doing a rotation schedule every 3 days and rotating because different plants have different bacterial amounts and types, that once you start to get diamine oxidase production going and your gut starts sealing up and those gap junctions begin to seal, then keto for the long term is amazing to keep that histamine and all those things at bay. But you have to you have to heal the gut first, and that's why carnivore is so good to start with in the beginning. And that's the difference between the two. So carnivore for the short term to get down the inflammation, and keto for the long term. That's the difference between the two. Now I'm going to take your guys' questions and bounce off of this. And don't forget to like up the stream. Y'all, I don't go live very often. That's why my numbers aren't high right now. YouTube is not sending out the notifications to people. But obviously, if you like up the stream, it just, as soon as you start liking up the stream, you go into the chat, you click into it, you bounce out, you hit click a thumbs up, and then bounce back in the chat. Then you're back into the live. This is how people find me. That's how the algorithms work. It's like people, you think that you're not working when you're like a guru. Oh, that's not a job. Oh, it's awful. It's awful. It is awful what I'm doing right now. All I want to do is teach people how to improve their health, and then I have to become a guru. 2 people liked up the stream. Come on, people. There are 60 people now here, and only 2 people more liked. I don't check to see who's liking. I've said this for years. So if you like, you'll be anonymous, and it just helps people find me in this live stream. So please like up the stream. I'd really appreciate it. And also people on the replay so people can actually find my channel. But being a guru is awful. I hate it. I hate it to the end. And I'm really trying not to hate it. I don't care about popularity. I don't care. I don't care. It's like not important. I used to be a world famous skateboarder. I'm in the Smithsonian Institute. I've, done big things at the X Games, and been in magazines and on television, and I've been on TV for keto stuff. So for me, I just want to have fun. I moved to a small town where I don't know anyone. So I did that. I used to be in Hollywood, California, going to Hollywood parties and hanging out with famous people, okay? I don't care about that anymore. I don't. I just want good people with kind hearts who want to connect with nature and beat what they're doing to us, because they're trying to destroy us. So being online like this becomes your job, and you got to constantly And you have to clickbait. People are like, oh my God, what you're saying doesn't match the thumbnail. It doesn't even matter at this point. You become a slave to this machine. If you want people to find you, these are the things you got to sit there and like, oh, like up my stream. I don't want to do that. I don't want to tell people to like up my stream. People can like it if they want to or if they don't. But if you don't tell people to like it, nobody will find you. And that's really hard to work this hard. I work so hard, you guys. It's insane because you have to do quality control. You don't want to hurt anybody. I'm doing a challenge soon. I believe that I'm going to release the dates on September 1st to sign up for the challenge. And I want to make sure that anything I do does not hurt anyone. I don't want anyone to say, I did this and developed uric acid. I did what Stephanie said and my hair started falling out. I did this and I became constipated for a month, you know, and haven't had an impaction. I don't want that to happen to anyone that I talk to or teach or whatever. So, I'm going to sort of go through you guys' comments and see if you have any questions at this point. So Ian says, I think some of the carnivore proponents are too short term, have experienced any negative they totally experience negative things. Some don't recognize it. I mean, I talked to one person, I said your potassium is low. I can tell when you talk, you're gasping for air. And some people don't recognize that they're low, they have low potassium. Like, I didn't know that my magnesium was low. So some people will go through symptoms, and because they have so many positive things happen, they just sort of ignore anything that's negatively happening to their body and don't talk about it. You know, because talking about what's negative on a diet where you're trying to make money, you're like, well, am I going to scare people off? Like this whole thing about people eating fruit on carnivore is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. What are you doing? You cannot store glycogen on fruit. You can't get muscle glycogen storage. It's going to give you 10-15 minutes of energy while you work out. Then you crash. If you're dysglycemic, hyperglycemic, hypoglycemic, and you're eating carnivore with fruit, you're flucked up. I'm going to do that. Let me write this down. Carnivore with fruit. I did a video. I'm going to do another video about it. Like, you either do carbs and do low carb, high fat if you have a problem with your gallbladder, or like super hypoglycemia, or you get into ketosis, or you do carnivore for the short term, but don't do carnivore with fruit. Absolutely, it's absurd. And the fruit's been hybridized. It's been selectively bred. It's got a bunch of fructose in it. It's loaded in sugar. No. There's not more keto professional athletes. There used to be a lot that were doing keto. Military were doing keto. Athletes were doing keto. I remember when the actress, what's her name, with the short hair, the black actress, Halle Berry. She's a type 1 diabetic. And she was doing a keto diet. But you know these people aren't doing keto diets. They just cut out their carbs. They don't eat enough fat because we're living in a stigmatized world that fat makes you fat. Fat doesn't make you fat. Your insulin, right? Your blood sugar. Because if your blood sugar is running high on a keto diet, because you can have diabetic high blood sugar numbers and not have a drop of sugar or carbs from your body eating itself and converting it into sugar. And it does that as a fight or flight stress response. So Halle Berry was doing a keto diet, but you know she's not doing the right diet. So yes, lots of athletes did this, and they don't have success because they're eating too low fat, they're eating too much protein, and they're bonking, they're having muscle cramps, they're having like, that's why people started adding fruit, because people were having, their electrolytes were tanking. They were trying to restore minerals by upping their sugar, where all you have to do is know how to get your electrolytes in, and don't use keto chow and element, which is like using potassium chloride, which is horrible for your freaking kidneys. Do you coach people on how to do keto right? Yeah, of course. I've been Betsy, I've been coaching people how to do keto for the right way for, let me think here, probably, I've been doing this for 16 years, so probably around 14 out of the 16 years, because I started to coach people, because I used to personal train people. So those were the first people, before I even went on the internet and ever talked about this. I did an experiment for 2 years with my clients on a ketogenic diet. My mom, then myself, then my clients. And then eventually I was like, I got to go online and talk about this. And that's when I started promoting it. So you can't go to my first video. Even in my first videos, I didn't talk about keto because I thought people would think I was nuts. So I was still showing like sweet potatoes. I had a boyfriend at the time, and I would make food and do videos on the food I was making and not eat it. Okay, Fruitarian said we shouldn't drink H2O and should get our liquid from fruit. This is another thing that is, you want to hurt yourself, okay? So the fruit today has been, listen to this, BU. The fruit today has been selectively bred, it's been hybridized, and it's been genetically modified. And a lot of it has more fructose in it. This is not what grows in nature, okay? Nature's fruits are going to be bitter. So they're going to be high in fiber. You're not going to get enough water from wild fruits. But if you have manipulated fruits, you're getting all that sugar. And I had one client whose mother was a fruitarian, and she died from non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Because that fructose that is Frankenstein has to go to your liver. Do not do that. Stop this illogical, nonsensical, garbled nonsense. Like, if you're not pooping, it's because you're using up all the protein. People, if it's not making sense, question things. That's why we're in trouble in this world today, because so many stupid things are put on us and nobody questions it. We just repeat it. Yeah, keto is awesome. I choose to do keto. I'm not eating carbs. I don't want to eat carbs. In fact, what they're doing, what I did a video about that product by Mr. Shill Bates, rhymes with, and the, the company Appealing, but there's no ing, Apeel. Oh, hell no. Are you friggin' kidding me? We're already dealing with the pesticides and the herbicides and the fungicides. And then on top of that, we got to deal with the freaking that coating. That's why carnivore, I'm like, if all the plants in every supermarket, they start put that coating on your produce, I'm good, because I will never buy my produce from the supermarket again. I am buying it from the Amish, and I'm going to plant and eat my own. I'm not eating that stuff. Oh, hell no. I about had enough of this nonsense. All the future Futurans I see look 20 years older. Yeah, but that's a whole thing, right? BU says I didn't get the notification. Yeah, that's the problem. How long did it take to calm down? I don't know what that is. With fat still consistent with butter and avocado, rotate meats and vegetables. But it's always highest in fat. You're always going to be highest in fat first. Vegetables, very small amount. Like, you could do a cup a day or half a cup a day. Yes, I'm taking in new clients. If you guys want to book a consultation, go to stephanieperson.com. That's where you go, and I will set you up. I love what I do, and I'm passionate in what I do, and I've helped a lot of people over the years. So, animals store their toxins in their fat tissue. Yes. So if we eat animals, do we consume these toxins? Yeah. That is the reason why people look for grass-fed, pastured, is to avoid the soy or the glyphosate. You can't avoid the fungicides, though, because, like, in Tennessee, there's so much mold on the grass. So The best is to do like an elk or a deer if you really want to avoid all that kind of stuff. But Mr. Shill Bates rhymes with, he I think he's a part of a program where they've cookie boxed all the elks, like millions of them, 100 million of them in the northern states. If y'all know my code wording for cookie boxed. I rarely go out to eat anymore, and I'm questioning if I'm going to. I have, even though I know that they're getting produce from these places. But if I were to go out to eat, I would literally just go and eat meat and fat and no vegetables. By the way, if you go to the website APEEL, they you can actually type in the search box. You put your, and I did it, and you can type in your area code, and it'll tell you what states and what stores carry that. And it's pretty much in all the Targets all across the US. So it's Targets. It's mainly in California right now, but people are finding this product in other states on the vegetables. So but I did the area code here, and it's not here, but I still just don't trust it. Like the avocados, this girl on my course, I have a course page. So if you guys need help, I have a $15 a month course page. You can sign up through that through stephanieperson.com as well. It's through Facebook, it's a private group. I'm right now moving it to my website. So will you have August consultation dates up? And I'll do it tonight, Karen. I'll put up August. Yeah, because it ends on the 28th. So there's still dates open for now, though, for you guys if you want to book. There's some dates left until the end of July, but I will open it up for August. I saw it in Costco. What state are you in, Lexi Abby? I haven't seen it yet because I'm in a nowhere town. For now, we're still getting our avocados from Mexico. That's where the avocados come from that I eat, or that I see here. But there's one of my clients is, I'm going to do a whole video on this. Let me show you guys. So he is, oh, Michigan. Look at that. It's already in Michigan. What store did you see it in, Lexi? So let me show you. I'm getting a starter tree. Hold on. Where is it? Where is it? Okay. So this, look at this, you guys. I'm going to do a video on it. Look at this. That is a starter avocado tree. One of them, not these two pictures, but one of them is matured. I think it's 5 years old. It's the, so basically you fuse them together. You fuse them, and you take the stalk, and then you take a branch of a tree, and you fuse it together, and it'll fuse together, and it has to be aged up to 5 before you start it takes then a year after you plant it. It takes a year to start growing an avocado. They also are putting APEEL on organic fruits and vegetables too, so be careful. I don't have to be careful because I'm not eating any of the vegetables from the market. I don't have to be careful at all, so I'm good. Stephanie, how much vegetables do you eat a day? I don't eat vegetables right now. I just eat avocado. So there is no how many vegetables you eat a day. Now, there is a person, my electrician, he has a garden. He's like, he's like, Stephanie, I got a ton of vegetables for you. So he's going to give me a bunch of stuff soon. And then I've got to learn how to can. So all of my vegetables will be from gardens, canned. Yeah, well, Dr. Berg is out. I think he's a sweetheart, even though he's a Scientologist. I think he's a sweet guy, but you do not eat 7 to 8 cups of vegetables a day, okay? Just stop with that noise. That was for the potassium. Absolute garbled nonsense. No, it's a hard pass. I actually interviewed him for my channel, and I did it live, which I shouldn't have done because people were bugging me. Ask him about, it was the 9 cups, not 7 to 8. They'll ask him, and I asked him, and he's like, well, it's your choice. I only use avocados for guacamole. I mean, apparently they're supposed to have the label on it, you know, the APEEL. It's supposed to have the label on it, but I bought avocados. If your avocados are aging, then it's not. Then you know they're safe. They're ripe, they're hard, they age really, really weird. No. Homestead channel. Well, I'm about to start my house build. So we're going to do like, I am obsessed with getting this house going. I'm going to do it on the cheap. I'm going to do a lot of the interior on my own. The exterior shell is going to be built because obviously I can't do the shell of a house. It's got to be like rain and wind resistant. I crave. I'm doing a barn dominium, by the way. I crave when I eat just small amounts of veg. Stephanie, why? I don't know why. You can't ask people. Everybody's lives is very unique, and they're, if they're low in potassium, or if they need fiber or glucose, who knows why. If you go to the APE or whatever, you think they have a video on what they are doing. Yes, I've shown that video on what they're doing. So I've shown like really small snapshots of it, but you can go and type in your area code and see if they're in the stores there. They're definitely in Targets everywhere. They're in Targets, they're in Kroger's, they're in Ralph's. Ugh. Like, people, y'all need to wake up. Don't be so busy where you don't know what's going on. They're doing this while the other hand is doing this. And nobody's noticing. But I'm noticing. That's why I went from Hollywood to a small nothing town. And I went and I put all my money into a well with a really expensive filter, because we're not doing this. We're not. Well, guys, it's been an hour and 20 minutes, and I need to work on my challenge. I made it a goal every night to work on at least 20 minutes. Yes, and Costco and probably Sam's Club a couple months ago. Yeah, you said a couple months ago or 3 months ago. Yeah, they're everywhere. What about the D-Day? Oh, what about the meats? Oh, the meats where they... Where's a pen? Where they did this to the meat? Yeah. That's another thing ain't nobody talking about. This. And there's only 2 states in the United States where they want to label if they've done this to the animals with very nastiness. And that's Tennessee. And I think it's Idaho. Yeah, y'all need to be careful. They're coming for you. Even your grass-fed meats in the store. Somebody said even Whole Foods. I'm like, especially Whole Foods. Especially. Yeah, you can't make this. That's why I stopped buying my meat at the supermarket. I'm like, I only go to the butcher with the farm right next door. Legit. Oh yeah, and then the meats made in those metal things. I mean, I don't know. I think people should wake up. You're over the top. Great. I'm 70 plus, and is it vacuuming up your teachings as fast as I can? Oh, that's awesome, Dale. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Well, everyone, I definitely think I need to get off, especially Whole Foods and Amazon guy. Yep. Y'all, we're living in some strange times. I don't know who's woken up, but like when I talked to my uncle the other day, he got so annoyed with me because I wouldn't stop. He's like, well, I don't need to hear this anymore, because I was talking about that company, the fruits and vegetable, that's the coating. I was talking about the meats. I was talking about the rhymes with vaccine or sclaxine. I talked about that, and a lot of people don't want, like, if they've had that thing, they don't want to talk about it. It's like, all right, I got it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, you best talk about it, because the body doesn't want to have that nonsense in it. So you best find a way to detox that crap out. But I tried to talk to him about it, and he was having like a freaking come apart. Will you do what you eat in the... Why do everybody want to see what I eat in a day? Like, we just all different, my people. Okay, please make a basic keto video. I'll do another one. The DOS don'ts, the do's and don'ts. This was kind of one, but I'll do another one. I'll do a specific one where I'm like editing and doing all that crap, and it won't be in a live stream where it's messy and long and an hour and 24 minutes. My view time for these videos is 5 minutes. So I'm supposed to be making 7-minute videos. This is what you're supposed to do to beat the algorithm. You can't make this stuff up. It's redunculous. So, anywho, thank you everyone for joining this live stream. It is time for me to go. Thank you everyone. Don't forget to like up the stream, hit the notification bell for all, and comment below. Tell me what you want me to talk about next. I'm 55 and I will almost be 56. I cannot believe I will be 56 in a matter of weeks. And I started telling my age online. Thank you, Lee Gardner. Oh yeah. So yeah, I will be telling. No, I will be talking about. I should show my first video and talk about the difference on how I've aged and not aged over the last years. I started telling my age at 46, and I'll be turning. So it'll be 10 years of outing myself. Because when you first join social media, you don't like to tell anybody your age. And for years, I was like, I need to tell my audience my age. So I'm proud of myself. And then I just got really scared and I never did it. But it'll be 10 years that I've been saying, I cannot believe it'll be 10 years that I've been saying my age. I cannot believe this. Because I was on YouTube for a couple years before I even started talking about my age. And I was like, I need to do it this year. I need to do it. Now it's freaking 10 years later? What? Crazy. Life gets better if you allow it to. You guys, don't give up. Don't give up. The body does not want to be sick. All you have to do is push it and have that mind to body connection and then work your ass off. And things will happen. Stop trying to take shortcuts. Stop trying to intermittent fast. Stop trying to drink the coffee. I mean, you gave up the coffee and soda. Yay, BU. Stop trying to do all these things and really work hard on finding your inner self. Even if it's boring, Stephanie, please do what you eat in a day. It's not that it's boring. It's just that I don't want people to become obsessed with what I eat. I have GLUT4 receptors. I can tolerate a lot more. I'm going to eat something, people will copy exactly what I do. And I got to sit there and make all these disclaimers. One day I'll do it. I'll do it when I get my house built, which is soon. So I can actually be in a kitchen, and I don't want to do how I eat in the day in my freaking RV. I don't. I love my RV. Thank you. I'm so grateful that I have a home, but I need to get my ass in a house. All right, guys. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely day, and I'm out. Comment below and hit the notification bell and get ready for the challenge. If you need a consultation, go to stephanieperson.com. I got your back. And my Instagram is Stephanie Ketogenic. And my Facebook page is Stephanie the Business Person. And I'm out. BU, what are the benefits so far? What the benefits of keto? Energy. I didn't say that, did I? What a dork. People on the replay are going to be so complaining. The benefits, I did say it. You know, it's you're stable, your blood sugar's stable, you drop your cortisol, you sleep better on a keto diet. I said that carnivore is good to take down the inflammation, and keto is good for the long term to balance your blood sugar and to have all the cells heal so that the telomeres on the end of your DNA can grow back and keep you nice and young as you almost turn 60. Cannot make this up. And keep the abdominals going. And help balance your hormones by balancing your blood sugar. That's really what it does, right? So you don't have the blood sugar swings, because that's what carbs do, even if you're on low carb. And with keto, you just right there. Energy, and you have energy, sustained energy. Nice, calm energy. But thank you, everyone. And yeah, I wrote benefits on my thumbnail. It happens. I try. And I'm out. Bye, guys. Peace.